Hello everyone, I hope everybody's doing well. So today we will discuss five net terminologies, the network terminologies, which some people get confused about. The first term that we're going to talk about is packets, frames, encapsulation, intranet, and extranet. People do confuse intranet with the local area network and extranet with the wide area network. So we're going to have a basic overview of all these five terminologies very quickly. So first thing is packets. What are the packets? And before we get to the packets, we need to understand why do we split the data into form of packets. Why we cannot send the data all together. Let's say I have, for example, let's say I have 10,000 bytes. Why cannot I send the 10,000 bytes together? I mean, why do I need to divide them into form of chunks, right? So please remember, in computers or basically all the computers transfer the information across the network in the form of burst, and those bursts are typically called chunks. And these chunks, the usual size is 500 bytes. So that's the size of the chunks typically that we transfer over the network. There are a lot of benefits. For example, let's say I'm transferring 10,000 bytes, make a big burst. Let's say that's what all you got. You want to send this is the sender and that is the receiver. And so, for example, you want to send 10,000 bytes together. If you send 10,000 bytes together, error occurred. So receiver will say, I didn't get nothing. All right. So you have to send the 10,000 bytes again. The benefit of chunks is you just have to, for example, 10,000 bytes are divided into, for example, 1,000 chunks. So, for example, one of the chunk got missing or error occurred. Rather than transmitting all the 10,000 bytes or all the chunks, you just have to send or retransmit that particular chunk. Another idea is, for example, if receiver is receiving the data from this computer and you're receiving chunk by chunk, in the meanwhile, you can also receive the data from another computer. And that computer who was sending the data to this computer may receive a data from another computer between the pauses. So processing would be easy, error control and transmission will be better, and of course the error detection will be better, and the information processing will also be better. So that is the reason why we or the computers, they transfer data in the form of chunks or the burst. Now let's coming to the very important part, that's called the packets. Now what are the packets? Packet is nothing, it's basically the chunk, and now chunk mean the information, chunk of data with source and destination, IP addresses. If you guys are confused about IP addresses, I have a complete video on IP addressing. You can watch that, IPv4 and IPv6. So source and destination. So let's say this is, for example, I have the data, and if you chunk of data, if in the chunk of data you add the source IP address, and for example, if you add the destination IP address, this is now called a packet. Got it? So, and now the next is frame. Frame is basically a packet with source plus destination MAC addresses. Now, if you are confused about the MAC addresses, please do let me know what the MAC addresses is. I will make another video on it. So source, so again, now if you guys see, this is the packet, right? The packet has the data, which is the chunk, and it has source IP address. It has destination IP address. Now, for example, if you add source MAC address, and destination MAC address, what it's going to become? It will be called a frame. Now, the number 3 is called encapsulation. Encapsulation is basically like capsulate, like packing. So adding source plus destination IP and the MAC addresses is called encapsulation. So you are basically making packet frame to packet. That's called encapsulation. From packet to frame, that's called encapsulation. And if you take it off, it's called de-encapsulation. So encapsulation is nothing but just adding the source and destination IP address. Intranet. People do confuse with local area network, while local area network is like a network at your home. You guys have, for example, our access point or the router, and devices are connected with each other by using that access point. That's called local area network. While intranet is like your private internet. For example, this is a company. Company has, for example, this is the mail server, company's email server. This is company's, for example, network server. This is, for example, any sort of application server, something like that. So within this network, within this like local area network where you have, if the resources are only available to the people who are within this private network, that's called intranet. So simple, intranet is basically a private network. It's a private network like your company's network in which resources are accessible, or you can say available, to only computers, or you can say users connected to internal network, connected to internal network. Nothing is available. For example, if you are for example, employees, some companies, they have some resources, only the employees within the local area network can access the resources. While extranet is people confuse it with wide area network. Extranet is where it allows control, or you can say limited access of internal resources to outsiders. So for example, let's say we have over corporate employee, for example, let's say a partner, or for example, API, something like that. So who they can access the internal resources with some limited access and resources, that's called the extranet. So it's completely different than the wide area network, where we connect two or more networks using the public networks. All right. So extranet has a limited capability, like for example, limited access to the resources. So that's all about these 5 terminologies. If you have any questions, anything, any other thoughts, so please do let me know. Thank you so much.